All right, let's talk about a huge and super common problem in the wedding world. It's this idea of using the couple as the go-between for all the logistics. The main point of contact for everything. It seems simple on the surface, but trust me, it's usually a fast track to total chaos.
So let me ask you this. You've played the telephone game before, right? Where you whisper a message to the person next to you and it goes down the line. You know how by the end the message is completely mangled? Well, that is exactly what happens when we force couples to be the messenger between all their vendors. And on a wedding day, that's not a game. It's a real problem.
And this is what that messy flow looks like in the real world. The photographer has a question for the venue about when they can get in, so they ask the couple. The couple then has to turn around and ask the venue. The venue gives them the answer, and now the couple has to perfectly remember it and pass it back to the photographer. Now, imagine that same process happening with the DJ, the caterer, the florist. You can see how things just start to break down and fast. That's why we call this whole thing the wedding telephone game. It's a system that takes your clients, the very people you're supposed to be celebrating, and turns them into these accidental, completely overwhelmed logistics managers. The thing is, the very moment a couple becomes that go-between, the whole system is already set up to fail. It's not just that it's a little inefficient, no, it's a fundamental structural weakness that pretty much guarantees something's going to get lost in translation. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Why exactly does this model fall apart so spectacularly? And what are the real, serious risks it creates, especially for your venue's reputation? This right here, this hits the nail on the head. You have to remember, couples are planning one of the most emotional, personal, and expensive days of their lives. They're not, and we should never expect them to be, trained operational coordinators who get all the technical details about power requirements or loading dock hours. It's just not their job. And because of that mismatch, you get these very specific, very dangerous risks. Your venue's policies get misinterpreted. A draft timeline accidentally gets sent out to everyone as if it's the final one. The DJ's specific power needs are explained wrong. And before you know it, you've got 5 different suppliers all working from 5 different playbooks. That's a recipe for some serious conflict on the wedding day. Here is a perfect and frankly kind of scary example of this in action. The venue has a super clear, non-negotiable safety rule. No open flames. Simple, right? But once it goes through the couple, who maybe doesn't understand the insurance reasons behind it, it turns into a casual, oh, candles are probably fine. See, that's not just a small miscommunication. That is a huge liability waiting to happen. And this is a classic example of what we call timeline drift. The photographer is all set for speeches at 6:30, but the catering team is basing their entire dinner service on a 6:45 start time. Meanwhile, the DJ thinks the speeches aren't until 7 p.m. These little discrepancies create a massive domino effect. Food gets cold, photos of key moments are missed, and the entire vibe of the night gets thrown off. But here is the absolute kicker. When all this chaos happens and things go wrong, who do you think gets blamed? I'll give you a hint. It's almost never the couple. Nope, the blame lands squarely on the shoulders of the venue and the coordinator. Your professional reputation is the one that takes the hit. So let's step back from the logistics for a minute and talk about the human side of this. Because behind all the timelines and vendor contracts are real people. And this broken system puts an incredible and totally unfair amount of pressure on the couple. I mean, just stop and think about everything a couple is already juggling. They're dealing with guest lists, trying to create a seating chart that doesn't start a family war, navigating complicated family dynamics, and making massive budget decisions. Their plate is already completely full. So when we come along and coordinate the technical needs of 6 different vendors to that list, we're not just giving them another checkbox. We are pumping a huge dose of stress, anxiety, and this constant fear that they're going to mess something up and ruin their own wedding. Our job should be to take that burden away, not pile more on. So what's the solution? Is there a better way? Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about the professional advantage. A structured, streamlined approach that puts the venue and the pros back in control. And the solution is actually beautifully simple. You get rid of the middleman. You create one single central hub of information, one source of truth. And then you give every single supplier direct and immediate access to it. No more telephone game, no more confusion. And when you put these 2 models side by side, well, the choice is pretty obvious, isn't it? With a central hub, accountability is crystal clear because everyone has the same official info. Efficiency goes way up. And maybe most importantly, the couple's stress level just plummets. It is a win, win, win.
This is what a truly professional, centralized system looks like. Every vendor gets updates automatically. Any change to the timeline shows up for everyone right away, in real time. And everything is documented. You can see who saw what and when. This isn't just about damage control. It's about building a solid foundation of clarity and trust from the very beginning.
Okay, let's bring this all home. What is the bottom line here? What's the one big takeaway that should really change how you think about your venue's operations? Well, the first part of this huge mindset shift is this. The success of your events, your coordination, it should be driven by solid, reliable infrastructure. A system, a process. And it should not be personality-driven. Your success as a venue cannot depend on whether or not you happen to get a super organized couple. It can't depend on their ability to remember the difference between a 15 amp and a 20 amp circuit. When you do that, you're leaving your success completely up to chance. But when you make that shift to an infrastructure-driven model, the benefits are just undeniable. You seriously reduce the stress on your clients. You actively protect your own hard-earned reputation. You make sure all your vendor partners are on the exact same page. And you stop so many preventable mistakes before they ever happen. It's a huge strategic advantage for literally everyone involved. So we'll leave you with this question to really think about. Take an honest look at your process. Are you truly managing your event logistics with a professional system? Or are you just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping for the best? The choice, and the reputation that comes with it, is yours.